that we rarely hear each other. Larry Sharpe has traveled the country and has personally visited every county in New York State, listening to people's concerns. The Sharpe Way is a show where answers, solutions, and common ground can be found so that together we can forge a new way forward. The Sharpe Way is the way to mutual respect, where no one has to convert to be heard, because you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want, as long as you aren't forcing your beliefs on others. Welcome to Sharpe Way Radio.
Oh, yes, it is Larry Sharpe. Sharpe Way Radio, here on the Voice of Liberty. So happy that you're giving me a small chunk of your afternoon. The number to call, 585-346-3000 after the first break. I was thinking about something, and it was about what's happening across New York State right now, and reminded me of something. Imagine if you would think about a friend. I've had a friend like this. Maybe you know someone like this too. In this case, I'm going to call that person Pam for the sake of argument. Pam is a single mom, and she has one kid. And sometimes she has struggled to pay her bills. Nothing wrong with that. Happens all the time. Needs some help. So she asked her mom. She says, "Mom, I need some help paying my rent." Mom says, "Yeah, I love you. You're my daughter. I will assist you in paying rent." So she throws her an extra $200 a month to help pay rent. Good. Happy for mom. Happy for her. Good. 2 months goes by. And now Pam goes back to her mom and says, "I'm still in a little bit of trouble here. I'm having trouble paying for food for your granddaughter. Can you help me out with some food?" And mom says, "Of course. I love you, my daughter. I love my granddaughter. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to write you a check or give you some extra cash for food every month. I'm going to give you another $200 for a month for food." Look, while that's happening, she just asks a question. "Pam, are you doing something to make this work better for yourself so I don't have to keep doing that?" Pam goes, "Not really. My job is my job. I'm trying to make it better, but that's kind of all I'm doing." And mom goes, "Okay, it's fine. Your job is your job. Keep working your job. Things get better. We'll be fine." Another couple of months goes by. Pam comes back. Says, "Hey, I got a problem here. Healthcare is expensive. Can you please throw me some cash for my healthcare insurance? It's me, and it's my daughter, your granddaughter." And mom goes, "You know what? It's your health. Of course, you are my daughter. You have my granddaughter. Absolutely. I'll throw you another $300 every month so you can take care of healthcare for both of you. That should be enough, right?" And she goes, "That should be fine. Thank you, Mom. Appreciate it." Boom. 6 months goes by. Grandma doesn't say anything. Mom says nothing, right? Pam says nothing. She's getting cash. She's doing what she's got to do. She's paying the bills. Granddaughter's taken care of. Not perfect, but it's working. They don't say a thing. All of a sudden now, she needs school clothes. Now it's school, childcare. School or childcare, one of those two. Childcare. It's that. That went up. She's got her job she's had. She needs money for that childcare. So she goes to mom again and says, "Mom, childcare. Your granddaughter. I need some extra money for childcare." At this point, mom goes, "Hey, Pam, it's been a year. A little more than a year now when I talk about the rent. And I've been giving you money every month. I asked you that one time if something's going to change. You said no, but you're going to work it." And I said, "Okay." I'm a little concerned now because nothing's changed. Is it that you can't change? Is there something stopping you? Right? Like, are you physically ill? Is something wrong? And Pam goes, no. Why would something be wrong? Well, because I'm dropping over $1,000 now every month on you. And Pam's response is, but you've been doing it for over a year. Why would you stop now? Because I was doing it because I wanted to give you a leg up. I wanted to help you move up. I care about my granddaughter. I care about you, my daughter. So I wanted to help. And Pam says, yeah, you've been helping. So don't stop. It's great. Keep going. But I want you to get better. I want you to fix yourself. I want you to either make more money or change your lifestyle or do something, whatever is appropriate for you to make a change so I don't have to keep giving you $1,000 every month. Pam is pissed off. She is not happy. In fact, she shames her mom. She says, how dare you? This is your granddaughter. Why would you punish your granddaughter? Why would you take money away from your granddaughter? You're a terrible mother. What's wrong with you? What kind of grandmother are you? She shames her. How dare you? Keep doing what you're doing. How can you take away this money? Why would you deny your granddaughter health care, food, rent, a place to sleep? What does Pam's mom do? What does grandma do? She says, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. I'll give you more money. I'll keep doing it. And Pam goes, good. As you should. By the way, childcare is expensive too. Can you throw another $100 in for that? And I said, wow, that sounds horrible, Larry. Sadly, that is New York State. Pam is not a person. Pam is New York State. And mom is not grandma. Mom is the federal government. New York State's budget is about 1/3 coming from the federal government and has been for decades. More and more money comes from the federal government. More and more. Again and again and again. They might go, wait a minute, Larry. Is this really the same? Right? Is Pam the same as New York State? No, Pam is actually better than New York State because Pam may have a problem. Pam may be struggling, possibly. Who knows? In this fictitious case, Pam isn't. But New York State has lots of resources. New York State can do lots of things. New York State can change so many things. New York State could make different policies. New York State can change itself to be better. Perhaps Pam can. Perhaps Pam can't. I don't know Pam. In my fictitious story, Pam can and has chosen not to. But the other thing in my fictitious story is even if Pam couldn't, if she was in a bad spot and she couldn't get out of it, she didn't say, hey, Mom, thanks for the help. You're right. It's tough. I can't get out of this situation. My job won't promote me, or I'm stuck because of childcare or whatever. I mean, people fall down and have problems. But Pam didn't say that. In this case, what Pam did is said, how dare you? How dare you? That is our governor, Her Majesty, Queen Kathy, first of her name. That is her. How dare you, federal government, not give us all the money that we need? New York State, by the way, if you don't know, gets between an $18 and $20 billion bailout every year from the federal government. I'm not joking. Do your homework. Between 18 and 20 billion every single year. We get bailed out by the federal government every year. What does that mean? We give X, we get back X plus 20 billion. Wait a minute, how is that possible? How can we get back more, and we're New York. Because debt. Because deficit. Because national debt. That's why. That's how. Because debt. So the federal government just goes into debt and bails New York State out every single year for $18 to $20 billion. Can New York State do better? Can New York State set itself up to where it doesn't require that bailout every single year? Of course. Does it? No. Why not? Because how dare you, federal government? How dare you not give me 1/3 of the money I need to survive? And why do I say that? Because when the money dries up in any way, is our state government embarrassed? Do they go, wow, this is terrible. We can't feed our kids without federal money. We can't fix our roads without federal money. We can't run our schools without federal money. Are we embarrassed or ashamed, or do something to fix that, or do some policies to move towards fixing it, or anything? No. Donald Trump is taking food out of the mouths of our children. Well, maybe don't give him that power. Maybe begin to fix our state. We do have the power to do so. We do. We can. New York State can do that. How do I know that? I've been given policies to do that for the past 7 years. We've watched it happen in other places. The things I talk about happen in other places. Already worked. We can fix it. We choose not to. We choose not to. And then when it fails, instead of us saying, oh my God, let's set ourselves up to where we don't care anymore, we just yell, how dare you? Killing people. Killing kids. You're terrible. Well, New York State, are you responsible at all for your own citizens in any way? No, of course not. What's wrong with you? Of course not. I'm not responsible. The federal government is. Put the money back. Okay. If I ask New York State, New York City, Rochester, Albany, okay, we recognize our problem. How do we fix it? What do they say? We'll just spend more local money. It doesn't get better. It doesn't change. Oh my God, it's a problem. And it doesn't stop. Am I crazy? Am I wrong? Is my analogy off? You can tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe on the Voice of Liberty, Sharpe Radio. Back with your calls and your chat after the break.
For the last couple of years, Joe Robach has been telling you about Flower City Collision in Henrietta, saying that it was started by a veteran along with his son, Zach. Hi, my name is Greg Sadwick, and I am that veteran. I want to thank the WYSL listeners for their support over the last couple of years. During those years, not only have I experienced the gratification of providing you the best repairs and customer service, it has also allowed me the opportunity to see my son develop as a young professional. So remember, Flower City Collision for your collision repair needs. And thank you for supporting our locally owned family business.
Donald Trump and conservatives may have won, but you know the left will unceasingly try to undermine society and spread evil, targeting the innocent and God-fearing, especially our children. Help promote a truth-based society and try something different in 2025. The WYSL stations can grow your business, professional practice, or organization, so allocate your ad dollars here. Reach our huge audience, entertained, inspired, and informed by leading conservative thought. Affordable, effective. The WYSL stations, the voice of liberty. Call 585-346-3000 to advertise.
Hey, if you like history and you like airplanes, the National Warplane Museum in Geneseo, New York is the place to go. Tours, exhibits, events, vintage aircraft, and more. Visit nationalwarplanemuseum.com for more details.
Sharpe Radio on the Voice of Liberty.
Oh, yes. It is Larry Sharpe. Sharpe Radio on the Voice of Liberty. 585-346-3000. So happy to be here, guys. I've been chatting about New York State. And why did I chat about this? Because our governor, Her Majesty, Queen Kathy, first of her name, worshiper of the jab, banisher of conservatives, destroyer of small business, she has decided that she's going to help us because she cares. I feel the love. I know you do. She's going to give, I think, $11 billion, I think it is. Or is it 11 million? 11 billion, I think, in food assistance. Okay. In theory, is that necessarily a bad thing? No. If there is a problem, if that's possible, you should give if you can to help out someone who's in trouble. I'm not against helping people who are in trouble at all. But is this an actual plan to help people? Or is this simply another Band-Aid? You and I both know. It's just another Band-Aid. It's, oh, I'll give, my name will be on that plan or check, so anyone getting that money will see me as the savior. Hopefully you'll vote for me, and I'll change nothing. And a year from now, whoever's president will still have to keep giving us checks. I will change nothing. I will blame the federal government. I will be the savior, and nothing will change. That is what drives me crazy. No plan. I ask all the time, every year when I have a budget, here's how we're going to spend more money to help people. Okay, great. So where is the plan to grow people so you don't have to help them anymore? Never. There's never been one. Where is the plan to where you set people up? You have a better environment for jobs, a better environment for work, a better environment for families, a better environment for schools, so that people don't require it. Where's that plan? Nowhere. Nowhere. The plan is just keep writing checks. Again, I get it. People are in trouble. Okay. But then how do we make them better? How do we do that? Patty is online and she says, Pam is working. Maybe her employees do better. True, maybe. If Pam is working, and in my fictitious situation she is, maybe she needs to have a better job. Yes, maybe her employees should do better. Maybe, if that's true, and I'm the government of New York, shouldn't I, Patty, create an environment to where her employer can do better? To where there are more jobs? To where now labor is able to negotiate effectively because there's so many jobs that they have to fight for workers? We saw that during the lockdowns. There was some of that, people who didn't want to go back to work, and they would give them extra cash. It does work. When you have more jobs than people, workers can fight for higher wages or more benefits or whatever that individual sees as valuable. With time off, whatever that person wants, right? I'm not judging you. If you'd rather have cash, you'd rather have benefits, you'd rather have time off, whatever works in your life for what you need, I'm with you. So where's our plan, Patty, to make that happen? Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. John says, perfect analogy, Larry. We need to cut the cord. I don't want to go that far. No, I didn't say cut the cord, because Patty has a valid point. If I just cut the cord, then the people suffer. I don't want people to suffer. I want them to grow so they don't require the government, right? That's the goal, is to not require the government. That's the goal. So I have to make a world or an environment to where they don't need the government. So yes, cut the cord, but slowly over time to where the people locally don't require government anymore, where they can survive on their own, when they don't need 1/3 of their budget coming from the federal government to survive for basic things. And that's the thing I'm going to be key on here. It isn't like we need the federal funds to like just build the tunnel from Jersey to New York. We need that. That's true. But at least that will be a interstate project. It would support the entire East Coast. Not jumping them down, but okay, fine, federal funds. Where's that going to end? We're not talking about that, John. We're talking about we can't pave our roads. We can't run our schools. We can't have health care insurance in our state. And I'm not making it up. Our AG, Tish James, literally said that. Her words earlier this year when Trump first shut down the funds, when it was the Doge people were shutting down the funds. She did a lawsuit. Her and I think it was 7 or 8 other states did a lawsuit saying we can't run our schools. That's a problem. And instead of them going, oh my God, let's work on fixing this so we don't need it, they went, we're going to sue you. We're going to tell dad on you, Ma. That's what they did. That's the embarrassment. Excuse me. Andrea says, once money is given, people are expecting that money forever, especially from the government. This is a key piece, Andrea. Once they start getting it, anybody, and in this case, the they is the states. I'm not even talking about people. I use the example of Pam to kind of make it human. But this is the state. This is an entity that has power, an entity that can borrow money, that has credit. This is an entity that can change policy. This isn't an actual just single mom. I use that as an example for people to feel it. But I'm talking about the state that is indeed powerful, far more powerful than Pam. And instead of it fixing itself, which it can, Pam theoretically may or may not be able to fix herself. The state can. And it says, no. How dare you? How dare you? Patty goes on to say, should Pam just move and get a better paying job away from her family and support system? Well, in a case of a state, well, and if it was a person, I think she has to make a choice, right? Is her family and support system providing her with more support than she believes more money would? Now, again, that's a choice that Pam has to make. What does she value more? Does she value the more money? Does she value her support? That's a choice she has to make. In the case of New York State, no need to move. No need, Patty. No need to move away. If your name is New York State, you can just change policies. Again, New York State has power. New York State can actually do something. It chooses not to. In this fictitious case, Pam can also. In this case, she can, and she chooses not to. To your point, though, there are many Pams who have no choice. Understood? Those Pams are actually Pam's kid in this scenario. In this scenario, Patty, the Pams you're talking about are actually Pam's children. Pam is creating a bad environment for her children. New York State is creating a bad environment for us. So, yeah. So I know it wasn't perfect. John liked it. I thought it was a good story, but it wasn't perfect. I hope that was clear. So, all righty, let me keep going here. Mike is in the house. He says, Hochul and the Dems are creating a dependency loop that exchanges essential items for independence and free choice. Yes, and that's a problem. We have made necessities expensive and luxuries cheap. True, and government runs the necessities. That's why they're expensive. True, absolutely, I agree. Am I right? Is Mike right? 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe, Sharpe Radio on the Voice of Liberty. Back with your calls and your chat after the break.
radio home of the Bonnies. Avon, Rochester, WLEA, WLEA-FM, Hornell, New York.
FM Talk.
Canisteo Valley Update.
State police in Hornell have arrested 30-year-old Marcus Hartfield of Rochester. He's the suspect, they say, who's accused of crashing his vehicle into the Aldi store in Hornellsville last Wednesday. Here's what they say led up to the crash. Troopers say Wednesday at about 3:45 a.m. they were called to the scene of a Seneca Road North residence for an alleged domestic dispute. While en route, troopers were told the suspect had fled the scene in a vehicle. They say moments later they were called to go to Aldi's after a vehicle crashed there. The driver was identified as Marcus D. Hartfield of Rochester. He's charged with 2 counts of third-degree assault, fourth-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, and third-degree aggravated unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle. Brian O'Neill for the Voice of Liberty.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center. Tonight, more frost as skies become mainly clear, with temperatures dropping to the upper 20s inland and mid-30s along the lakeshore. Tuesday, mostly sunny and cool, with highs in the low 50s and a northeast breeze at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Then Wednesday, essentially a repeat of Tuesday, with morning temperatures in the low 30s, mostly sunny skies, and highs in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Nate Morris for the Voice of Liberty.
Long Agency Insurance in Mount Morris encourages all to support local, shop local, and insure local. From fair and honest rate comparisons to answering your questions and claims in a timely manner, the folks at Long Agency Insurance take pride in providing excellent customer service. That's why they were voted the best insurance agency in the Glow region by the Daily News. Call 658-3342 or visit longagency.com to get a quote today. Long Agency Insurance, insurance worth having. Proudly representing Erie Insurance.
Advance aluminum and vinyl. Give your home a look that's new.
Are you thinking about investing in your home with new siding, energy-efficient windows and doors, a wonderful 3- or 4-season sunroom, a long-lasting deck, or a retractable awning? Call AirVent Aluminum and Vinyl in Arkport. They carry the highest quality products and are the experts in installation. AirVent Aluminum and Vinyl, 14 Main Street in Arkport. Phone 607-295-7773 or see their website, airventalum.com.
I'm Joe Donalfo, and I'm humbly asking for one of your 2 votes for state Supreme Court Justice. I spent 3 decades working in the courtroom, the last 14 years representing disadvantaged individuals in vulnerable situations. I've handled thousands of cases. I've also served our community.
We have Keith.
Volunteer firefighter, helping to keep families safe.
You're welcome.
For me, it's always been about service and helping others. I'd be honored to earn your vote. Paid for by the Friends of Joe Donalfo for Supreme Court.
I didn't even know how to live a sober life. I was starting a new life over again, and it wasn't bad at all. Most people say, I found God. I look back and say, God was never lost. I was. I'm the one that walked away. I don't want to get back what I lost. I just want to be the best Tim that I could be.
Find out how you can help. Go to opendoormission.com.
Dreaming of a new kitchen or bathroom? The time to act is now. At Lima Carpet and Flooring in Avon, we're running a huge sale on all kitchen and bath designs. Our team of expert designers is ready to help you create the space you've always wanted at prices you won't believe. Whether it's sleek, modern, or a cozy classic feel, we'll design it your way. Call 585-226-2180 or visit limacarpet.com to book your free consultation today. Lima Carpet and Flooring, Route 15 in Avon. Stunning designs on unbeatable prices.
Whatever your rehabilitation needs, St. James Hospital's highly skilled physical therapists are here to help with one-on-one personalized care for individuals dealing with illness, injury, or recovering from surgery, and specialized treatments for balance disorders, dizziness, and concussions.
I think what makes us different from the rest is our warm, welcoming personalities, and we really strive to further our own education so we can better help the community.
Get back to doing the things you love. Find out more at stjamesortho.urmc.edu.
This is the greatest game we've ever seen. 4th and inches on the goal line. Timeout. Hello?
Honey, we need help. The furnace won't turn on and it's freezing in here.
What's up? Furnace died. No heat.
That's an easy call. Taylor Heating, 500 help.
Moments later. Okay, thanks. It's Taylor for the win. Now back to the game.
Touchdown!
Call Taylor. 500 help.
Sharpe Radio on the Voice of Liberty.
Hey, it is Larry Sharpe here on the Voice of Liberty, Sharpe Radio, 585-346-3000. Yeah, look, I've been trying to talk about helping people while trying to pick them up, not helping people and just letting them stay there. So often the government does a good enough job to keep you right where you are, but they're not there helping people to move to that next level. That's the problem. And I want our environment to be that way. That's my goal. And it won't be perfect. Of course not. But we're not even trying at all. Let me grab a call if I could. This is Keith. Keith, how are you, sir?
Yes, I hang in there. Hopefully you and your family, too. Right there at the end there, when you're saying people won't change, that's the thing right there with Americans, maybe probably around the world with all the modernity, but Americans today, look at the pioneers who went across the Great Plains, even women and children in barefoot. Modern Americans could not do that today. 50 to 70% of people are overweight. I'll say this quickly. When our founding fathers put the houses of Congress together, the upper house was the Senate, admittedly more removed in a decision-making body, as it's always called.
Yeah.
The lower house with the House of Representatives, and so far as Congress, use that true name for the lower house, it was almost like in the days of colonial times, you could walk right into the office of a congressperson, but no one today, unless you're a big donor, you definitely don't get to speak to any senator. You can't even get a hold of your congressperson.
True.
And people today are not in touch with their government. And secondly, we need people can laugh, we need a basic change in human nature. People today just will not do for themselves. In your chat room, a woman named Andrea called in and was saying, what would people do if they had to go without food stamps, and they might be tested on that as early as the 1st of November if they can't get the government reopened. But not to go long here, what happened to Americans? That's my big question in closing. What happened to Americans, whether the greatest generation for the ones who came out of the Depression and fought World War II, but just Americans, even President Kennedy saying we're going to go to the moon, not because it's easy, but because it's really hard. Here, speaking in early 1960s and then getting someone there at the end of the decade. Americans, we don't gather, in my time, we gathered in the gymnasium almost to watch every liftoff into space. People today, it's all blasé. And in closing, and I want every American to hear this, you all of us, we bring this on ourselves for being just so lazy and just so turned off. And I know people are disgusted that the way things are going, that they're not being listened to. But something's got to tighten up, either with the American mindset that we are a great people, Americans always in 250 years next year. Either that or we're going to collapse into outright mediocrity, and we'll only have ourselves to blame, not the Chinese or the Russians. Only Americans will have ourselves to blame if we go down the drain, and we've got to get it together or kiss it goodbye.
You gave me a lot as usual. Let me try to grab some of these. First piece I want to bring up is being connected to your government. You are correct. It is very rare for people to meet their own representatives. It's very rare to meet any people. When I ran for governor in 2018 and 2022, many people would tell me, Larry, I voted for you for one reason, because you actually answered my question. As most of you know, I travel the state every single year. I go to all 62 counties, still doing it every year, whether I run or not. I was just in Rochester. I was just there. this last Saturday evening. So I'm all over the place. I was at Bill Gray's at the Port of Rochester from 5 to 8 last Saturday. I was in Lyons, New York, in Wayne County the day before. So I do travel. People actually meet me, and they say things like, Larry, you came to see me, so you know what? You earned my vote. So I agree with that completely, and I act accordingly. There's an old story that back in like the year 1801 or something, Thomas Jefferson actually would answer the door to the White House. You could knock on the White House, and Jefferson would open up, yeah, hey, what's going on? Hey, you the president? Yeah, I'm president, what's up? Like, that could happen. So, you know, I just think that's funny that that used to happen. I'm not saying we need to go to that level, but I do think we feel disconnected, which is your next piece. People feel like, why bother? They feel utterly disconnected, Keith. They feel like no one listens, no one pays attention. And I got to tell you, they're kind of right. People aren't listening. People aren't paying attention. And they feel like, why bother? So why should I work hard when the second I make one mistake, the government will hammer me and no one around me will support me? Why should I work hard when I see someone next to me not working or not caring and they're doing just fine? Why should I work hard when if I do work hard, I'm going to be hammered and yelled at and treated like a bad guy? I'm not saying that they should take that mindset, but I understand those who do. I think we do need to change our culture in that regard and be more happy with people. The average person who does well, and what I mean by that is we tend to have a very specific outlook on the very wealthy and very successful. Either we hate them because they're evil and mean, or we worship them like they're gods. Both are wrong. The people who we should be caring about more than anything else is the local guy or gal who's actually giving people jobs locally. The local woman who runs an accounting firm and hires 3 accountants and, 10 administrative staff. The local lawyer who he's got a staff of 3 or 4, right? Those types of people we need to be saying. The local diner owner, she hires 14 staff members. These people we should be paying attention to. It's the people I try to pay attention to myself as you see where I travel. The people I try to support. Did I cover everything, Keith?
Yes, I would ask, you mentioned what I'm going to call blue Democrat city of Rochester. Were you getting any answers different politically as opposed to when you moved further out into maybe the red rural areas? Are people on the same page insofar as what they will say to you, no matter what the party do? Are there common threads that still bring us together, or what feedback do you get, whether diverse because of party or common concerns that Democrats and Republicans and Libertarians, all of us have? Are we still a united people, or what's the skinny on that?
I'm going to give you good and bad. One of the good things is every event I go to, there are both Democrats, Republicans, and independents there. Everyone. Former Democrats, former Republicans, actual Democrats, actual Republicans, mostly independents, obviously, most libertarians, because that's who I am. So most of those. But I get all types. And there's good and there's bad. Here's the good news. They all show up, and they are united on something, Keith, and they're united on the problems. Everyone's feeling the same stresses, and everyone's feeling frustrated that nothing's changing. They feel like, kind of to your point, that the country is in a state of decay. They don't always say those words, but as they talk to me and I say that, they always go, yeah, that's it. The country is in a state of decay and we have to fix it and nothing's changing it. That's the good thing. Here's the bad thing. The left-right divide is very strong and the evil person on each side is still very strong. If you're a Democrat, orange man bad is still a thing. And for most Democrats, if you're a Republican, Hochul bad is still a thing. And I'm not saying either of them are bad, or I don't care. What I'm saying is it's not helpful if you don't have an answer. And that's my issue. Did I cover that, Keith?
In one sentence, I give you full credit. Keep plugging away. I'm not saying that in any shallow, superficial way, but unless we all keep plugging away, oh my God, how sad, how tragic for what we call the overall American people and American way of life. Oh God, help us all so we don't lose it.
Thank you for the call, brother. All right, let me grab a couple of comments. Gene says, I don't understand why anybody trusts the government, which is $37 trillion in debt and hasn't followed the Constitution for 75 years. You're not wrong, Gene. And I'll tell you why. Because most people can't see anything else. They think this is the only answer. They feel like their community has failed them. They feel like their local government has failed them. And in many cases, they're correct. So they look to Big Brother. They look to big government to be the answer. Now, obviously, that's not the right answer, but that's why, right? That's the issue. Yes. John says, unfortunately, Larry, we are inherently greedy. Why would I not take thousands of dollars of assistance if I'm making $60K a year? You know, I'm not going to say greedy. I'm going to say rational. Yeah. I was in Messina, which is in North Country, for those who don't know, talking to a group of people, and they were bringing this up. They were saying, why are these people on public assistance? And I said, because it makes sense. And he looked at me like, what? We've set up a system. To your point, John, we've made up a system that if you are a single mom of two in New York State, why would you work? Unless you can make a lot of money. Now, if you're someone who can make a lot of money, you're either skilled or you have some background where you can make a lot of money, obviously you'll go work because you can do so. But if you're not highly skilled or don't have the current skills required, or you live in an area, to Patty's point, with family and friends that doesn't need your skill set, any of those things, you'd be better off staying home with your family and taking care of your kids. It makes sense. It doesn't mean the person's lazy. I mean, some people are, obviously. People are lazy, it happens. But it doesn't mean they are. It might mean they're rational. You'll spend more time with your children, make more money, versus going to bust your rump, have to pay for childcare, not spend time with your kids. It might be rational. Am I crazy? You can tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe on Sharpe Radio, the voice of liberty. Back with your calls and your chat after the break.
Debunking advertising from the law office of Christopher Johnson. One ad some injury attorneys inundate you with, what's your case worth? Call us and find out. You know, nobody can tell you, quote, what your case is worth over the phone. Nobody knows. The ultimate answer to, quote, what your case is worth involves weeks or months of research, evaluation, and preparation. Many factors go into any compensation you might get, like applicable law, who's actually at fault, how much insurance coverage there is, and many, many other factors. At the law office of Christopher Johnson, the singular focus is getting your life back on track after an accident or injury. That takes money, and it helps when the advice and legal advice you get has a one-on-one focus informed by straight talk. Christopher Johnson Attorney, car, truck, motorcycle accidents, personal injury, and DWI defense. Call 585-415-3803. 585-415-3803.
Youth for Christ Rochester is creating a safe sanctuary and a Christ culture for at-risk city kids. Our basketball programs provides a strict code of conduct, discipline, and mentoring to give our kids the boundaries they need and crave. Our God's Girls middle school program is so popular we're now in 3 city schools and growing. Our Performing Arts Academy explores and identifies untapped gifts, all while delivering the gospel of Jesus Christ. Give a monthly or one-time gift at yfcrochester.org/donate.
Sharpe Radio on the voice of liberty.
Oh, yes, it is Larry Sharpe on Sharpe Radio, the voice of liberty. So happy you're giving me a small chunk of your afternoon. We have been talking about New York State, trying to make it better so that people don't need all the help that they need. Getting people to actually grow, to be better, to make things work to where we don't need government as much. Sadly, we are not there. And we're not doing anything to make it work. I just mentioned before the break that depending upon where you are in a state and what your situation is, it may not be greedy to go on public assistance. It might be rational. You might go, but Larry, it's wrong. Okay, you can think that. But I want you to imagine yourself. You're a divorced mom or widowed mom, either one. Got 2 kids. And you can work if you want to. But either where you are, they don't need your skill set, or you don't have a great working skill set, or because maybe you stayed home to take care of your kids for a while. Maybe you're not there. Whatever the situation is. So if you go work, take away your taxes, paying for childcare, you're going to struggle and you can't see your kids. Struggle, can't see your kids. Or go on public assistance, struggle less, maybe still struggle, but struggle less, be able to do a side hustle to put some extra cash in your pocket. I know you may not like that, but mom's going to do what she needs to pay for her kids. So maybe she's a side hustle. Maybe it's off the books. Happens all the time. And she doesn't pay for childcare. She spends more time with her kids. So she can spend time raising her kids, have a side hustle. If she doesn't work, and I go, Larry, that's terrible. Then we have to change the system. I can't blame, realistically, a person for doing what makes sense when we create an environment to where that makes sense. Patty goes on and says, many working people need food stamps to feed their kids because their full-time job doesn't cover food and health care. True. My point exactly, Patty. We're on the same page. The answer is where I disagree with many people. Many people think, well, just keep giving them more food stamps. And my answer is, let's make a world, let's make an environment to where that full-time job does cover food and health care. And they don't need it. I don't think most people, there are obviously exceptions. I don't think most people want to go on public assistance. I think most people would like to work or have a job or whatever where they can take care of themselves. So the more we make that possible, the more people will do it. But there'll be a second piece. There'll be more people locally who will say, why aren't you doing it? And right now, and you all have seen this, I have too, where people say, you're dumb. Why are you working? You're stupid. Why are you working? You don't see your kids. I see my kids. Why don't you see yours? You're dumb. That exists. Now, what if it were the opposite? Why aren't you working? I got a great job. I get enough money. I can do what I want with my money. I got enough money for my kids. I'm good. Why aren't you doing that? There's jobs all over for that. Now, that's not reality, Patty. I'm saying I want that reality. We should be moving towards that reality, and we're not. I want to make it to where if this woman, whatever, she's widowed or divorced or whatever, and has 2 kids, that there's enough jobs out there for her to grab, that she can afford it all and still have a career if she wants one. That's what I want. I know it's not there. I'm not fooling myself, acting like it's magically going to happen tomorrow. But here's the problem. We're not moving towards it. That is my issue. I hope that's clear. And it's why I don't want to just cut the cord. I want to move it to a point that makes sense. So thank you for that. I hope that makes sense. All righty. Let's see here. John says, the educational system has failed them. By design, ? Yes and no, John. Our education system has failed them. True. Absolutely true. By design, yes and no. It is designed poorly. Yes.
Roger.
But not to harm people. It's designed to grift and people to make money. Actually having a decent system is secondary at best, maybe tertiary. It's not that important, and therefore they fail. But again, the goal isn't failure. The goal is making money. The outcome is by default failure. I hope that distinction is clear. Let me grab a call if I could. This is Roger. Roger, how are you, sir?
Hey, Larry. So,
what's going on?
All right. So here's the thing. Public investment and tax subsidies in starting and growing worker cooperatives and to undergird the small to medium-sized business economy so that they can pay their workers a wage that matches the cost of living so Pam don't have to keep running back to mom.
I love that idea.
Two, yeah, that's
I'm
one
in.
of my that's one of my ballot measures if we were a ballot initiative state. Two, a public bank at state and local level to create the surplus needed to wean us off of federal dependency, which would not only be used to finance our infrastructure, create jobs in infrastructure, but do it without having to create new taxes or raising existing taxes. Number three, here's the thing.
You are killing it, Roger. Don't stop now. Give me three.
Here's the thing. You're worried about people going on some type of public assistance. Understand, Amazon said, we are eliminating 600,000 jobs and replacing them with robots, automation, and AI. So
yes,
that's going to be a big problem with this artificial intelligence. At least with worker cooperatives, the workers who are the owners can get to decide how far they wish to go with the AI stuff. But if we don't do something right away, you're going to have more people on public assistance as the jobs are going toward robots, automation, and artificial intelligence.
Well, I'll go one step further with that, Rob. One step further with that, Roger. Sorry, one step further. And that is locally, we have already seen this. People are okay spending more money for local products. We see it everywhere, all over New York State. One of the biggest examples was when we changed our breweries and we allowed for local breweries here more in New York State. They exploded. So you can literally drop an extra $1 or $2 for one beer for a local, beer versus buying a Coors or a Bud Light or whatever is your beer. And people in New York State were doing it in droves because they said, you know what? It matters to me. I want to pay the extra $1 because I like the local beer better. I think with worker co-ops locally, people would pay for a product or service because they know it's local and they wouldn't have to go AI as much, or to your point, they would decide locally how much they should. I agree.
CVS killed the local pharmacy, so did Walgreens. Also, who makes better barbecue? These chain restaurants or like this local person, small business, mom and pop shop over here?
I think you know that answer, my friend. I appreciate it, absolutely. Roger, thank you for that phone call. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you all so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I will see you all very soon.